Some of the things that protect us are things we learn the hard way. You get hurt, you learn, and you adjust. And you don't make the same mistake again. That's wisdom, right? Maybe. But what happens when the situation changes and the lesson doesn't? Welcome back to the Motivated Savages podcast, where we live bold, lead fearless, and ignite our path forward. I'm Jody Savage, and for the second week in a row, this conversation came directly from one of you. I recently asked on Facebook for sayings or phrases that had stayed with people. One person responded with a question instead. If the saying we remember most was forged by past pain, are we holding on to it as wisdom to grow, or are we just using it as a shield to keep ourselves from being hurt again? Wisdom or shield? I love that question. Mostly because I'm not sure the answer is as simple as choosing one. We're supposed to learn from experience. That's one of the benefits of getting older. You screw up, you get hurt, and hopefully you remember enough of it to recognize what you don't want to repeat. That's not baggage, that's information. And some of that information was expensive. You paid for it with time, mistakes, embarrassment, disappointment, maybe heartbreak. Sometimes years of doing something the hard way before you finally figured out an easier one. Of course you're going to use what you learned. Why wouldn't you? But experience has a limitation. It can only teach us from what has already happened. And we're using those lessons to make decisions about what hasn't happened yet. That's kind of wild when you think about it. We're constantly taking information from yesterday and using it to decide how we'll walk into tomorrow. Most of the time, that's incredibly useful, until it isn't. Maybe you took a chance once and it went terribly. So next time, you're a little more careful. Fair. Maybe someone showed you they couldn't be trusted. You believed them. Good. Maybe you ignored your gut once and promised yourself you'd never do that again. Lesson learned. But how long does the lesson apply? That's harder. Because circumstances change. People change. We change. The version of you who learned that lesson may have had less confidence, different responsibilities, different people around you, or simply not known what you know now. Maybe you were 25, now you're 45. Maybe the person who hurt you isn't even in your life anymore, or the environment that required you to behave a certain way doesn't exist anymore. But the lesson can stick around. And sometimes it's not even something huge. We were having company recently, and apparently I had decided that meant the entire property needed to be ready for inspection. The lawn needed to be mowed and the pool vacuumed. Things needed to be picked up. All the things. My husband looked at me and said, "Why?" And I said, "I've always been this way. You know that. Now chop chop. We have work to do." And we did. I still don't know why the lawn apparently needs to be freshly mowed before people I already know are allowed onto the property. And I'm probably going to mow it next time too. But I love my answer. I've always been this way. That's a pretty effective way to end an investigation. No further questions. And most of the things we're talking about work like that. They aren't necessarily causing some giant problem. They work. That's why we keep them. We don't usually question the things that work. If being prepared has served you well, why would you stop preparing? Maybe keeping things to yourself has protected you. Maybe doing everything yourself means you never have to wonder whether someone else will come through. You learn what works. And sometimes the things that started as protection become genuine strengths. That's what makes them so hard to question. Which is why I don't really like the idea that every protective behavior is something we're supposed to heal. Protection can be appropriate. Being cautious can be smart. And if somebody keeps trying to climb over the wall, keep the dang wall. The goal isn't to walk through life completely unprotected. The question is whether we're choosing the protection or whether it's choosing for us. That's what I like about the shield. A shield isn't weakness or fear. A shield is a tool. You pick it up because something is coming at you. And if something is still coming at you, hold on to it. But you wouldn't carry a shield everywhere. You wouldn't make dinner holding it, drive with it, go to the beach with it, sleep with it. At some point, you'd put it down. Not because it failed, because you don't need it right now. And maybe that's where some of our old lessons get tricky. They work so well that we stop checking whether we still needed them. Something taught you, don't do that again, and you didn't. It taught you, don't trust that, so you don't. It taught you, be ready, so you're always ready. The lesson did its job, but maybe the situation that created it ended 10 years ago. Did anyone tell the lesson? Probably not. And I don't think we have to go hunting through our entire lives looking for outdated lesson. That sounds exhausting. But sometimes something doesn't quite fit anymore. You catch yourself reacting to what's in front of you like it's something you've already lived through. Or someone asks you why you do something a certain way, and the only answer you've got is, I've always been this way. That might be worth a second look. Remembering what happened is useful. Living as though it will happen again is something else. At some point, the past stops being information and starts making decisions. I don't want to throw away the things life has taught me. I've earned some of those lessons. I want them. I don't want a version of me from 15 years ago making decisions for the person I am today. Her lesson can come with me, but she doesn't always get to drive. Maybe that's the difference I'm looking for. Wisdom can remember what happened without assuming it has to happen again. Wisdom can say, I've seen this before, and still ask, is this the same? A shield doesn't have to disappear for us to grow. Maybe we just need to know we're holding it. And sometimes we'll look at it and say, yep, still need this one. Good. That's information too. Maybe you still need it. Maybe you don't. Just make sure you're the one deciding. So this week's Savage Challenge is one question. Think about something experience taught you. Something you still live by. A rule, a boundary, a way you protect yourself, a way you prepare. Something you don't do anymore because once upon a time, doing it taught you a lesson. Don't assume it's wrong. Don't try to get rid of it. Just ask. Is this lesson helping me respond to what's happening now? Or protecting me from what happened then? Maybe the answer is both. Maybe you don't know. That's okay. Just notice. Because the goal isn't to forget what life taught you. It's to make sure you're still the one deciding how to use what you learned. That Facebook comment asked, wisdom or shield? Maybe wisdom isn't putting the shield down. Maybe wisdom is being able to look at what's in front of you, look at what you're carrying, and decide whether you need it. I'm Jody Savage, and this is the Motivated Savages podcast. Live bold, ignite your path. That's the Savage way. If this message resonated, share it with someone who might be carrying a lesson that deserves another look. Together, we're building the Savage community, a movement of people choosing purpose, growth, and bold living.